Last time on JQ with Hero Concepts. I can't give you a specific release order right now, or maybe ever, but I am curious which of these rascals excites you the most. Who are you hoping to see next? Leave a comment down below. Dang. I was really hoping someone would say Casino. Or that I'd get more comments in general. There's a lot of things I want to see in Overwatch 2. High up on my wish list is a fully playable mecha squad. I love the idea of D.Va's whole team working together within the parameters of 222. I think it's likely that the devs will go in that direction, which has influenced how I've imagined their roles and kits. We know D.Va is a tank, and Demon couldn't be anything but due to her mech's size. Michael Chu himself labeled King as a DPS, and Overlord's drones suggest a support role. Figuring out where Casino fits into this theory has been more of a struggle. With the DND duo taking up both tank slots, that leaves DPS and support. Which one would the devs pick for him? Frankly, he gives off DPS vibes to me, but support players are constantly starving for new heroes and would likely, definitely, be peeved if only one of the mecha kids was a healer. But then I thought to myself,
¿Por qué no los dos?
How about a DPS support hybrid who flips between the roles by transforming his mech? His mech looks like it could be a transformer to me. It's got that weird mix of anthropomorphic arms and legs with a body that's shaped more like a ground vehicle. We know his mech can fly, but it also looks like it can fold in on itself and become a car. The novelty of it all is too cool for me to resist. The closest equivalent we have in the game right now is Wrecking Ball. He too has two forms with different capabilities. I'm simply taking this idea of a shifting mech and digi-evolving it to something more complicated. In order to protect my idea from people who hate fun, I'ma remind y'all that it's canon all of these mechs are undergoing repairs after their last battle with the Guishin Omnium. Some of the mechs might get upgrades or design reworks. Any of these mechs we see in Busan could be slightly or completely different by the time of Overwatch 2, so I'm gonna get as creative as I want. But what about the lore? Here's how I see this playing out. One night, Jaehoon stays up long past his military-mandated bedtime to watch a G1 Transformers marathon. The combination of sleep deprivation and hot robot-on-robot action gives Jaehoon a brilliant idea. The next day, he goes to the mecha repair crew and makes the totally reasonable, not crazy at all suggestion that they overhaul his nearly fixed mech at the last minute. Well, that would be cool and all, Mr. Casino, but we don't have the budget for that. Unwilling to give up, Jaehoon ventures out to get his own money. He enters a Formula One race, cause that's part of his backstory, by the way, but loses to Lewis Hamilton's future grandchild, and the payout isn't enough. He tries selling overpriced feet pics on OnlyFans to make up the difference, but it's a competitive market and feet enthusiasts don't have quite as much money to shell out as suspiciously wealthy furries. In a last-ditch effort, he hits up his secret sugar daddy Maximilian for a forward on his allowance. Where'd you get all that extra money? To which Jaehoon calmly replies, "What are you, a cop?" And thus began Casino's adventures of LARPing as Starscream. Hey, if all that speculation about Casino possibly having ties to Talon amounts to anything, he'll have a lot more in common with Starscream than just turning into a jet sometimes.
Trauma detected. Blocking account.
My follower base!
My finger's right on top of the delete button. What are you gonna do to stop me with your long toothpick legs?
You fool! I have 70 alternative accounts!
Casino's single utility ability is the cornerstone of his kit, Shapeshift. Each form has its own set of abilities oriented towards damage or support. In DPS form, his mech lowers to the ground and transforms into a souped-up Formula One race car. The support form is a flight mode, and I promise it won't step on my future Overlord Hero Concepts' toes too much. Shapeshift doesn't have a cooldown in the traditional sense, but it does have a 1.75 seconds animation sequence that can't be cancelled. For the sake of keeping this image canon, and not reducing this move to purely out of combat, you can shoot while you transform. The transformation is pure vertical movement courtesy of his mech's legs, elevating the main body of the mech into the air or settling it down on the ground. You can still move horizontally while he transforms, with a hefty 75% movement speed penalty. If your team is suddenly dead around you and you panic fat finger activate your shapeshift, you're probably not getting out of there alive. The rest of the time, those legs of his are tucked up under him in both forms, cutting his hitbox down to a more appropriate size for a damage or support character. Aside from assisting his shapeshift and making it easier to store his mech in the garage, the legs also boost him up for higher altitude flight. We'll talk more about that later.
I told you not to fuck my wife!
And I did anyway. What you gonna do, bitch?
I'm going to kill you, and then kill you again.
Just like the rest of his mech, the guns transform too, and are wildly different in how they function. In DPS mode, his guns are called Fusion Bursters. They're twin hit-scan burst rifles that'll do an average of 60 to 80 damage per second, depending on how consistent you are with hitting all of their bullets. You might recall I gave King projectile weapons for his primary fire. Having Casino's primary be hit-scan is a deliberate contrast on my part. After all, if neither of them were hit-scan, folks would be less inclined to play them together, which would defeat the point of my grand mecha team plan. I want to play with some overheat mechanics here. Instead of a traditional reload, you have to be mindful of this heat meter. If you fire 5 times in rapid succession, you'll overheat the guns and have to wait 1.5 seconds for them to completely cool down. If you've ever dual-wielded plasma rifles in Halo 2 or 3, then you know the drill. In support mode, those barrels spaz the hell out and go full automatic, becoming the Biotic Gatlings. They spray twin cones of rapid-fire biotic bullets, each with a generous spread angle, that do 40 healing or damage each. You can fire continuously without reloading, like D.Va's fusion cannons, with the balancing drawback of having only a 7-meter range. For reference, that's a meter less than Winston's Tesla cannon, and several meters less than both forms of Moira's Biotic Grasp. You'll hit everyone on your screen though, just so long as they're close enough. Don't worry, there's still some opportunity for skill expression here. The Biotic Gatlings have a very narrow overlap zone in the middle of the cones, one you'll have to aim. That little zone grants twice as much healing or deals twice as much damage. 80 healing / damage per second ain't nothing to sneeze at for a support, especially with no reload. But again, you have to be within a tracer blink of your target, or it won't do dick.
As you can see, Twitter went through a bunch of updates. This one is the one that makes me go away from yo bitch ass.
Casino has, 4 passives, 2 for each mode.
She's out of her mind.
It would be insane if all 4 were running at once, but they never will be. But why 2 passives per mode? Why not 1? Well, I figure since he has no secondary fire and only 1 utility ability, some extra passives to enhance his mobility and survivability wasn't too crazy. Even though I effectively cut his hitbox in half by hiding his legs most of the time, he's still gonna be
dummy thick
enough to need some extra help. Plus, the dude's a Formula 1 driver. He's not gonna let a literal hamster outpace him. If you're still worried, let me assure you that I'm showing far more restraint here than I did in the first draft of this script. Originally, I gave his car mode a secondary fire that allowed you to run people over, and it was the equivalent of a single target Reinhardt Earthshatter. Yeah. A couple extra passives is pretty tame in comparison. Casino's DPS car mode travels 7 meters per second by default. DPS heroes are getting a basic movement speed buff across the board in Overwatch 2, but the devs didn't specify how much. It could just mean that all DPS will move as fast as Tracer and Genji already do. If it's more than that, then the car mode will travel slightly faster than whatever that number is. There's a movement speed penalty when you turn corners, but it comes with some cool drift mechanics. DPS mode's second passive is an acceleration tied to the jump button. If held, Casino will accelerate to 11 meters per second within the span of half a second. There is a resource meter tied to this, so you can't accelerate in perpetuity. It'll deplete in 3 seconds and fully recharge in 4. Also, firing your guns will automatically decelerate Casino. Support mode's jump extends the mech's legs for a second and boosts Casino 10 meters straight up into the air. Holding jump makes him glide down like Mercy and Echo. This is particularly useful if you want to spray your juices all over any flying character or some schmucks caught in Sigma's ultimate. Tapping crouch in support mode activates his
barrel roll.
He moves forward at 8 meters per second for half a second, corkscrewing in the air and making it very difficult for enemies to shoot his critical hitbox. There's kind of a cooldown in the same way that quick melee technically has a cooldown, but you can basically spam this bad boy. The drawback is that you can't shoot at all while he spins. What both of Casino's forward speed boosts have in common is that they come with a little bit of knockback. Nothing dramatic like Concussive Blast or Coach Gun, but enough that you can flex on your enemies by love tapping them into dangerous situations.
Starscream! What in the universe are you doing?
You have 13 seconds before the island fucking explodes, you hot topic wannabe, and you blue gumball son of a bitch. You have done nothing but destroy my lives. I hope you both die.
Ever played Sonic Adventure 2 Battle? Remember the Tails and Eggman stages? Well, the ultimate, Hidden Arsenal, is kinda like that. Casino runs around on the legs, shooting deadly missiles out of Princess Serene's backside. Or healing missiles. Hidden Arsenal can be an offensive or defensive ultimate depending entirely on what mode you're in when you activate it. You can't swap from DPS to support or vice versa mid-ultimate, so choose your form wisely before you press Q. You have 20 homing missiles at your disposal that inflict 60 damage or healing each. They fire continuously 4 times per second and target whichever enemies or allies are closest to you, but only within 10 meters. You'll have to get aggressive and chase them down, though hopefully you won't have to try as hard for your own teammates. Lucky for the other team, this is a channeled ultimate that can be cancelled with hooks, hacks, stuns, and sleeps. We have a few hybrid support characters in Overwatch already, but my vision of Casino has far more of a distinct 50-50 split than has been attempted thus far. That raises the question, which category should he actually be in? Which role do you have to queue for to pick this boy? A good argument could be made for either one. If you were to ask someone today what category he should be in, they'd most likely say support. They'd no doubt cite the deficit between the support and damage hero pools, and bemoan the long queue times for DPS players. However, these issues we have now may not be a problem by the time Casino's in the game. If he comes out far enough into Overwatch 2's future hero cycle, the gap between support and DPS heroes may have narrowed enough that most folks won't care where they put him. Casino in the DPS category also means that you can circumvent role restrictions and run triple support again. And of course, by saying that, I've basically made the case that he should be relegated to the support role, lest the great evil return. The one con of putting him in support is that a selfish individual might play him as a DPS the whole game, leaving one poor sap to heal. You know, the classic Overwatch experience. Then again, triple DPS strats can work, and some people already play supports like DPS heroes anyway.
I need healing.
Baby man, little baby man, little baby, baby man, little baby man.